Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast. My name is Julio, and today I'm joined by some friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, Chris and Jose. Happy birthday to David, who is not joining us today because he is out having a better time than us. On behalf of the guys, we want to thank you for joining us for episode 18 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first place for all things Inter Miami. In today's episode, we will be discussing Atlanta United's 5-2 victory over the Inter Miami Herons, and we are just a couple hours removed from that match. Before we begin, for those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for stopping by, and make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the show. And a huge thank you to Matias, our chief Heron Head on Patreon. Thank you so much for your generous support. Additionally, we would like to thank our other Heron Head patrons, Art, Brian, Kevin, James, and Karen. If you feel so inclined to support us on Patreon, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening. And if you don't feel so inclined, that's totally okay too. We appreciate you being here. Chris, I'm just going to send it over to you. How are you feeling just a few hours removed from what was a disaster?
Not great, Bob. Not great. It's rough, Kind of feel depressed, heartbroken. All the other additives that go along with those. It was a rough match, in the beginning, it looks like we had some hope. Campana goal in the beginning, it really hyped us up a little bit, gave us a slight sliver of hope, and then after that, it just went downhill. I think a little bit of everything went wrong. We'll get a little more into the details now, but it was a little bit of the defense, a little bit of the attack, obviously, without Messi in here. He was at home eating pizza with his family. Some weird pizza, by the way. I don't know what that was, but we could talk about that too. But yeah, overall, just a poor performance overall. I wish I would have seen a little more from these guys that were there that we actually saw last week. But kind of lost for words right now.
It's kind of like our friend, the attacking midfielder. He wrote a tweet earlier today, well, probably a few hours ago, that it said we kind of made this decision when we made the decision yesterday of sitting all our best players, our two best players. You kind of had to think we were kind of not throwing the game. I wouldn't say, because we still have to play the game, but it was kind of like we maybe came into it like, we don't really need this game. Like if we were to lose this game, not a big deal. But to answer your question, Julio, yeah, we feel like we just got run over by a truck, and that's the consensus, I would say.
So I've exhaled a bit from the end of the match, and it sucks. But the unbeaten streak was not going to continue forever, and I think that you can see that Tata and perhaps the front office circled this match as, if we're going to draw points, this is going to be the one we draw points at. It's in Atlanta, and after today's match, we're at home against Toronto. We're just a couple hours away in Orlando on Sunday, so 8 days from now, sorry. And then we're back home, if I'm not mistaken, for the US Open final. So like the next stretch of matches between the next 10 days, it requires little to no travel. And by not sending Messi and Alba to Atlanta, we're saving them the travel for those days, but resting them what will be quite a long stretch for Messi, and Alba will get 7-10 days of rest and recuperation. So I think they made the conscious decision to say, all right, listen, we maybe over-exceeded expectations against LAFC, and we gained points that we weren't necessarily expecting. So now we have a tiny little bit of leeway with these matches. Let's maybe rest these guys now, save them the travel, and we can hunker down for this 3-game stretch. It's really a 5-game stretch starting today, but this 3-game stretch is coming up of Toronto, Orlando, and then the US Open Cup final. Let's make sure that we have the best possible chance at winning those 3 matches. I think they said Atlanta. Listen, it's not a long flight to Atlanta from Miami, but it's a flight nonetheless.
Easy.
To Orlando, it's 45 minutes, right? That's hardly, like, you tickle cruising altitude and then you come back down. So I think they said, listen, this is the one. If we're going to drop points, we drop them, and whatever. We'll see how it all ends at the end of the season. But they knew that coming up were 3 games that they didn't have to travel. Everyone could rest. If they needed to rest Messi and Alba, these were going to be the ones. And I don't know. I'm disappointed, but I'm not like so hair on fire. Everything's worse than ever. We were gonna
You
lose at some point.
you asked us how we were feeling now after the match. So that was my reaction. But putting that aside, I agree 100% with what you're saying. If we look at why Messi was not with the team, did not travel, grand scheme of things, yes, it makes total sense. Did the turf thing have anything to do with it? He said no a few weeks ago. A lot of people still think yes. It's still a big deal. So between the rest, between the turf thing, it just makes sense. Messi is going to be here starting Wednesday again. Hopefully, knock on wood. But it was a necessity, honestly. It was a necessity. It was a great move by the team, great move by Messi. Let's get him well rested. He has a long, long road ahead of him in the next few weeks. A lot of matches back to back to back. So overall, it was smart. Alba was kind of a shocker. I didn't expect him to not be traveling at all. I figured we always talk about Alba plays a lot. He needs some rest. So I kind of expected him to maybe just come off the bench, but I really expected both him and Busquets to be there today, as like we've said in the past, a veteran presence that we really needed. So that was a bit shocking to not see him there. I think it really hurt us for him not being there. I think Noah Allen is not great at the left back position. It's a big drop off between him and Jordi Alba, obviously, and that made all the difference in the world today. I think Kamal Miller was really trying to protect Noah Allen back there. A lot of times after Noah Allen was getting burned. Kamal Miller was kind of found out of position. He was trying to catch up a lot of times on defense. So yeah, Jordi Alba back there was a big surprise and a big hit to us, I think.
Yeah, we always kind of knew this, right? About when Albus joined our team, how much of a difference he made, right? But I totally agree with Chris. Like him not being there, man, we're missing something from the outsides. That was something that how many did we get from the outside in? Think about that. We weren't using our backs very much, other than Yedlin. Yedlin we were using him, but like, man, no, Allen on the other side is brutal. Um, one thing I was kind of like astonished by. First of all, we got it was 1.73 xg that Atlanta had. That's kind of surprising, considering they had 5 goals. Like that was pretty bad. We lost the possession. Well, we wanted the possession battle. We were at 51%, but that's not what we normally. That's not how we win games, especially when we don't have Messi. If we had Messi, whatever, we would be striking. We would throw the ball up the pitch, and we can always do a counter. Yeah, it was brutal in that sense. We lost the possession battle, the XG battle. The Amara ultimately didn't matter, to be honest with you. I don't know to tell you, he didn't have that great of a game, but GG did. He had a pretty good game. He told us GG pretty quickly. Leo the Great. That's what I'm dubbing him now. He had those nice 2 goals, but that one that he just we're gonna get into that one. I know you're gonna like to walk that one through, Julio. That was a beautiful goal. That was just, and you know what I'm talking about. So it was out of control.
It wasn't the penalty.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, well, I think that's incredible too. I don't know what to tell you. But the shot that Arroyo did leading up to that one, I thought that was pretty ballsy on his part, because I hadn't really seen that from Arroyo, right? Like we usually kind of consider him more of a defensive presence, and,
Right.
and and him just firing away at will, right? I don't know if the goalie's name is Will, but that's who he was firing off at. Yeah, I mean, another thing that I was a little bit bothered by was I wasn't impressed with Drake this game. I mean, obviously he had five goals, right? But I don't know. This is the second game where I'm like a little bit mad.
So let's talk about the first 2 goals that Atlanta scored because both of them were avoidable or maybe questionable. So the first one was the goal that may or may not have crossed the line. I forget who it was. Let me check real quick. So
I don't know how they would have allowed that one without much certainty, you know. And then you always have VAR afterwards. You could have just gone afterwards to VAR and check it.
so MLS doesn't have the goal line technology, which is like in tennis where they have what is it, the Hawkeye technology where it can like super zoom in. They don't have that. So yeah, so they have that like in some of the European leagues. Yeah, it gives you like the solid plane of color.
Yes, that's
so they don't have that. They don't have that in the MLS, similar to how they don't have the offside VAR where they actually like drop the lines and it looks like a schematic. They don't have that in the MLS. If they did, I think they would have found that the ball did not cross the line, but the sideline assistant referee had called it a goal on the field, so there wasn't clear and obvious evidence to overturn the ruling. I am of the belief, and call it homerism, call it whatever you want, that ball did not appear to cross the line based on the angles that we were given by the broadcast. To me, it appeared that Callender grabbed it before it crossed the line and saved it. It was called a goal. And as soon as that goal was scored, my initial thought was like, okay, we got to get to halftime. Because that goal went in the 36th minute. And I was like, if we go into halftime 1-1, not bad. Campana scored a banger of a goal, which I'm going to dive into like tactical analysis of that one because that was so amazing. But that goal went in for Atlanta, and I was like, let's just make it to halftime, and I would be pretty damn happy. You know, it never felt like Atlanta was taking too much control of the game. We started off the game with more possession than I thought. You know, I was fine. And then they had a very dangerous attack down the left side. I think it's Xanda Silva that gave Kamal Miller nightmare the whole match. Kamal Miller was chasing him up and down the pitch, and you could tell how gassed Miller was. So he gets to the end line, cuts it back. It dribbles off of Miller's legs and goes into the back of the net, own goal. 2 goals that were very avoidable because if the ball had not gotten rattled around Miller's legs, there was no one. That ball wasn't going to anyone in the box. It was going to be too far behind the other attacker. It might have been Giacomakis. I'm not 100% sure. It might have gone behind Giacomakis and would have been cleared. Instead, it bounces off of Miller's feet, and before you know it, it's 2-1. Then they go right back down. 3 minutes later, score another, and halftime it's 3-1. Absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. But the first 2, to the point of the XG and all that, like the XG on those shots were low. The first goal by Muyumba, super tight angle over Calendar's head, bounced off the post, and like come on.
Oh, that's why I'm so down on Callender because I'm like, like our other 2 stars aren't there. Like I kind of expect you to step up, right? And I felt the same way in the last game when we didn't have our guys, right? Where we're kind of expecting he's one of our better players, right? For him to be the guy we expect, you know. But yeah, it's just a lackluster play on him from what I gathered. Robert Taylor, I'm not even going to talk about him because everyone talks about how much I hate him, but it's just like I don't know. He wasn't very miraculous, It was kind of whatever.
Yeah, he was just kind of filling up space there in the right wing without Messi there. But he to go back to the defense, I will call myself out in the last episode. I came out guns a-blazing. Defense has gotten a big turnaround. We're doing great. Defense is going to shut these people down. And I couldn't have been more wrong. My main guy back there, the big dog, Kamal Miller, was nothing extraordinary. Obviously, like I said, Noah Allen next to him didn't help at all, but he just didn't have a good game. We can't make excuses for him. He did not have a good game. He was very gassed in the second half. He couldn't keep up with anyone anymore. I was actually really disappointed they didn't start with a 5 in the back like I wanted them to, especially since Christoph was available. Whether he didn't start because he was fatigued or not enough training time with the team this week since he was in international matches, I don't know. But I think that really would have helped us out in the long run. Looking at the outcome of the match, I think that really would have made a big difference. But yeah, Kamal Miller just seemed gas. I don't know if he's playing too much lately or what it is, but he didn't look like himself. He didn't look like the Kamal Miller that we've been seeing the last few matches at all. And as far as Aviles goes, Toto Aviles, actually played really well. I think he had his normal bonehead moves, bonehead penalty, or not penalties, but fouls that he does every now and then. But I think overall he played really well. I think he shut down his side okay, and it was mostly the left side. Kamal Miller and Noah Allen really gave up a lot of big plays on that side.
Yeah, I put a lot of that on Allen, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Allen found himself way too far up, way too aggressive. He would lose the ball, and it was Miller against two attackers, and he ended up having to sprint all the way back, cover for Allen. Allen was in no man's land, tracking back, but by the time he got back to help, we already had either allowed a goal or had gotten the ball back already. Like, he was providing nothing in transition defense. He was just getting way too far up, caught out of position, and then having to just sprint back, and it just I think he individually affected not only the left back play, obviously, which was where he was playing, but I think he affected Kamal Miller greatly in this game. I still fault Kamal Miller quite a bit. Not his best game. He had some nice plays, but overall, this is one of his worst matches since Messi's joined the club and all these other pieces have joined the club, no doubt.
Yeah, no, and it's like since they've started in the since the Messi era, yeah, I would agree, because this kind of felt a lot like pre-Messi, to be honest. The way that we were playing today, I was like, I feel like I've seen this before. Just we were very discombobulated. Although I do think that Campana's coming into zone. I do see where he's grown big time. Facu as well. If we were to take, it's like Chris said about Toto. Toto is really taking steps forward. So it's nice. It's nice to see these pieces growing with Messi not there. But it's just you could tell there's just something missing. The big dog's missing. You could just see, you can feel it. And it's not just one big dog. I think Alba is super high in that totem pole in the MLS in general. Like he's amazing. He's amazing, and what he does for us on this team today, we missed it big time. Like Julio said about Kamal Miller. Kamal Miller may also be very good, and we maybe have seen him take the next step because he has Alba on that side as well, right? He's been very good, but man, he's always had like a FIFA 83 rated player right next to him. What are you gonna do?
There was one play in particular that I remember, and Facu had the ball, and it was one of those plays where normally Alba's overlapping on the left side, and Facu turned to play the ball into where Alba would normally be, and Allen was still like 20 yards back. So he had to like wiggle around and kind of wait, and finally Allen caught up to where he needed to be, and then he passed it, but then Allen immediately lost the ball and then had to track all the way back, and I'm just like, man, like the levels of difference here are massive. And I mean, I thought I rathered Allen out as a left back than a center back, but now I'm thinking we would have been better served having a 5 at the back and having him at center back even, and figuring out who we were going to put on the left. But it was rough. It was rough.
Maybe you just put
maybe the.
Maybe he's not a position. Even right wing is not his position. He needs to be left wing exclusive. Like that's the only position he can play well in. Yeah. No, not even thrive. Just have a moment. Yeah. Have a moment. Today he was non-existent. Like I couldn't tell you a single play that Robert Taylor played that I was like, oh, Robert Taylor getting himself into the game. Really, really growing into it. There was not a single moment where I thought that about Robert Taylor in this match.
There was one. Yeah, there was one where he was going up the pitch, and we had a few options, and he chose the only option that I was like, "Why did you do that?" I can't tell you the play. He was going pretty alone, and he was going up until the top of the key. The hash through there. And I'm sorry, that's basketball terms.
Penalty box.
The penalty box, right? So he's literally right up to the penalty box. He's gonna pass it to the right. That's what I expected, and I was expecting like another yelling like cross in or something. I was like, nah, he kept it right there, and he's like, I'm firing off, and he didn't even fire off. They stole the ball. I was like, all right, this is. I'm not even gonna talk about this guy anymore.
Yeah, when they subbed him out, I was like, all right, thank God, because I was like, wait, is he still playing? When they subbed him out, I was like, okay.
Wow, he's playing.
Tata's just committed to playing him out of position, and the problem is that he can't take Facu out of the left side because
Right.
Facu is just. You want to talk about thriving? Facu's thriving. Facu was the best Argentinian on the pitch tonight.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
I don't tell you.
I agree. But what if Julio? What if we were to talk about Facu? I don't think he's exclusively a left winger though. I saw him. I've seen him in games just roaming through the. He could be a center forward, a center mid, and just kind of navigate the ball around. You know, he's an offensive player. Obviously, he's not going to do anything near what Gomez is going to do. You know, Gomez is a defense, offense. He's going to play everywhere. I see him more like a Kramaski almost. You know, that he can take on that role, I think. But man, it's just a shame because I hate on Robert Taylor. I'm not gonna do it. It's dead. It's dead. I'm not gonna do it anymore. But it's one of those things where he had his moments. You know, against this Atlanta team, he literally had his moments. Obviously, he had Messi there, but man, he thrived on that left wing side, man.
Yeah, it feels like Tata's trying to put a square peg in a round hole with Taylor, and he wants to work him in, but if it's not on the left side, it has not worked. It has not worked at right wing back. Obviously, did not work tonight at right wing. I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know what he's gonna do, but this is not the right answer.
Yeah, I still think Tata's. I still haven't seen one specific formation, and maybe it's because of all international plays and this and that. But I still haven't seen one formation, one setup that Tata just sticks to and goes forward with. Seems like every match is just switching it up, trying different players in different positions. To Jose's point, I think Facu has a good has a chance to be a good like center attacking mid or kind of play that kind of role there. And we could have kept Robert Taylor over on the left side, and that would have maybe fixed that. But then again, who goes to the right wing? David Ruiz, or who are we going to put back there?
Why not?
So
why not?
yeah, he's another young guy
that's not
proven yet, but
yeah, I think Kramaski is just as good as Facu in that sense, where he could just I think you can put him. I mean, he didn't do that bad. I forgot the way that we were playing him at one point. That we were actually putting him towards the back, right back at one point. Remember, that's just the way it settled. Where whenever the defense was settled and we were just trying to get possession, we put Kramaski back there, we put Sergio back there, and we were, it was like a whole the offensive players were all of a sudden in the back just passing the ball around. He's a little bit of a Renaissance man. He can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I've been disappointed with Taylor. He was one of our better players before everyone that's new came into the team. So it's hard to see him struggle. And he's not being helped by the manager, it seems. He's not being given any favors. So that's just – it's tough. It's tough because, I mean, like I said, I couldn't tell you a single thing that he did tonight that was positive.
And it's like he's not getting the opportunity. So, okay, we could say he's not being set up for – he's being set up for failure. I would think he is, particularly just him particularly. But the other guys, they're thriving in the positions that Tata's giving him. You know what I'm saying?
To me, Taylor's been the type of player that needs to receive it kind of around the box and then just turns and doesn't attack. Whereas on the other side, you have Facu, who receives the ball anywhere on the pitch and is a problem for the opposition. He can turn and advance the ball. He can pass it. He can shoot it. Like, he has all the tools. Renaissance man in attack, Facu. If you want to take a positive out of this game, it was Farias. He looks great, game in, game out. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, he looks the part.
And his tenacity, just like his teammates, when Campana scored and he was trying to get the ball from the goalie, just annoying, very, very annoying sequence there. I saw Facu right in the middle. He's not very tall. I don't think he's very tall. He doesn't look very tall. I mean, I could be wrong. He could be 6'5". As if we want to go through all the things I was wrong about, we could do that. I think that'd be a very fun segment. But
that would be did you know that you said this?
Did you know where Jose was wrong? Where Jose was wrong. That would be a very long list of things. But,
we'll need a lot more than 45 minutes for that one.
Yeah, but I wasn't wrong about Amala. He don't matter. It still don't matter. I don't know what to tell you. But Yeah, man, it was a great crowd. I was wrong, really wrong, just really bad. I don't think I was totally wrong with. I said that they don't care enough about soccer there to boo Tata. I don't think I was wrong. I didn't see that. It didn't seem that way. They definitely showed Joseph some love. That was beautiful. Very nice moment for him. I
It helped
wish,
that they were winning by 2 goals at that point.
yeah. Yeah, imagine he would have gotten the game-winning goal. Nah, didn't like him that much.
I
You
was
know,
dying for that. He had a chance in the box after he subbed on, and I was like, "Oh, if he gets on the end of it, it's only a 1 goal game, and maybe
yeah.
we steal a point back."
Oh, that would have been great if we got a point there.
Uh,
I was just
so
telling my family watching it. I was like, man, if we can somehow get, I was like, I kept telling them, did you guys know 2 goals is the scariest? It's you never want to be up two
it's the
goals.
most
That's
dangerous lead.
the most dangerous lead in the game. I don't know what to tell you. It did happen. It's wrong,
So let's
wrong
talk
again.
about the Campana goal before we just keep going on about how bad Robert Taylor has been. And so
I can talk
so
about it for days.
Dixon Arroyo, who I also thought had a very good match, very solid. He had some really great moments. He gets the ball around midfield, turns, and no one from Atlanta pressures him, which was kind of the biggest culprit in why they lost 4-0 against us in the Leagues Cup, because they didn't pressure Busquets at all. So Arroyo turns, no one within like 15 yards closes him down, and he's just like, screw it, I'm going to shoot. He hits a beautiful shot to the point where I think everyone on the pitch in an Inter Miami kit thought it was in. Campana himself lifted his hands thinking it was going in. And Guzan, the goalkeeper for Atlanta, he was just like stuck in cement, just like watching it go. And he was like, oh man, that's going to go in. Bounces off the crossbar and bounces off the turf and then goes over the defender's head. Campana gets it, flicks it up over his head because Miles Robinson is right in front of him, so he couldn't take the first time shot. Takes a second touch and then hits it outside of the boot, straight over Guzan's head, back of the net. I jumped up off my couch and was fist pumping because 5:00 kickoff, the worst possible time. However, none of my kids were sleeping, so I could actually like cheer when we scored. I was screaming, I was like, "Golazo!" Like, like running around. Oh man, the emotional release when Campana scored that goal, because Atlanta had some dangerous opportunities before. Then Campana, it was so against the run of play for him to score that goal, and I was so pumped up. I was like, they are gonna be so tight now after we scored the goal. Like the mental boogeyman that they were gonna have as a picture of us was gonna be hard to overcome, I thought. And, the rest is history from there. But that Campana goal, probably going to be a contender for goal of the match day, I think, because the way he struck it after he flicked it up was beautiful, beautiful shot.
The composure that he showed on that was out of control, like ice in his veins. He caught it. I think it was with his chest, got it down, controlled it, and just went for the hit. I mean, it was not a lot of players.
I thought the opportunity
would freak out.
I thought the opportunity had gone.
Yeah, exactly. You don't expect that to. It's too much going on to actually work, and he kept his composure and he hit it in. It was a beautiful goal. Beautiful goal.
Yeah, honestly, like if he would have made that goal, like it would have been just such a big statement, and I would have expected the big balls like celebration afterwards.
The long shot.
Yeah. At that point, you just gotta run around.
He was out. He was out like in a different planet when he shot that, and it was.
I don't even think it was the screen. I didn't even. I was looking at the TV, and maybe I was just like zoomed in more than I should have been. But I was like, "Where'd that ball come from?" Out of nowhere. I went to get chips. I looked up and like, "Whoa, why is this still in the air?"
Yeah, it had just like a beautiful trajectory to it, because he struck it, and usually from out there you can tell if it's going to be a bad shot that's going like upper deck. He hits it, and it has just that right trajectory that you're like, that's got a decent chance, and it was perfect, off by just a couple inches. But man, Campana got on the end of it, and I was delighted, as you would imagine, because at that point we're winning, and I'm like, we're winning. We're winning. I've been on Twitter all day telling everyone how we're gonna win, and then and and then the rest of the match happened. Then,
Like, you
and
swear
I
that?
had to post on Twitter asking for receipts of cocky Miami fan that were taken from around Twitter. So
They're just gonna honestly, and now that's gonna be the opposite. Now what's gonna happen is they're just gonna put. Look at this guy. He said GG was gonna. We're gonna say GG to him. They're gonna put all of our little highlights of the preview.
Hey, to touch on something Julio you just mentioned, after that first goal, you thought they were going to kind of tighten up and kind of freak out and whatever. That would have happened last match when Messi was there, that they had they were all starstruck and all that. They were not in that mindset this match. They were ready to go. They had pedal to the metal, foot on the throat. They did not care. They kept going. And obviously they had a few bounces go their way, but that was just, they didn't care. They weren't starstruck. Obviously Messi wasn't there. They did not lose composure. They just kept on going, and they obviously whooped us. But
yeah, they also added new pieces since the last time that we played them.
right.
So on top of us not having Messi and Alba, they have new pieces that don't have any preconceived notions about our team. They had no. We saw this against Nashville. Second time against the team, the star factor is gone. I mean, in this case, Messi wasn't even on the pitch. They're like, this is just another team. And they came out and showed up, balled out, kicked our ass. Then we move on to the next one.
And you know what I almost and going back to, because we kind of touched up on a little bit on it on the strategy. It's just shame that I know that you were saying earlier that you kind of think that it was good strategy. I kind of wish we would have done this where we didn't play him. I wish we would have played him in the next game, Toronto. I think we're better than them. We don't need maybe just sit one of them. You know what I'm saying? Maybe sit Alba in this game and have Messi play. I think that would have been enough. I think, and then
To me, it's the travel. Like, if you're gonna make them skip, just he can. I know there were pictures of him like at his son's match,
that's
but
fine.
I mean,
That's
after that,
fine.
he could have gone to athletic trainer and just been in that guy's office all day getting a massage on his ankle that took a light knock. Same for Alba, just getting like some R&R. He might have been in a sensory deprivation chamber, just zoning out and finding his center again. I just think you're saving these players probably a day and a half to 2 days of not being able to really recover to send them to a game where you may or may not play them.
Yeah.
And by them staying here, like I said, we played Toronto on Wednesday. For Orlando, you take an hour-long flight.
That's the one that I want. That's the one that I have circled on my schedule. And we shouldn't do that because all of them should be circled. But man, that's that. I couldn't agree. There's a Twitter on Twitter you put, hey, if for friendly banter, I don't want to have friendly banter with an Orlando Twitter. I'm sorry, they're not welcome. We don't want to talk to them. They're our rivals. Don't talk to us.
That's not true. Please invite us on your shows if you want to discuss. We won't send Jose.
Don't send me.
Speaking of Orlando, they had a huge win today. Big time win today against the Crew. Against Columbus Crew, they came back at the last minute. They were in extra time already. They came out with a win, so they're second place right now in the East.
One of the very few results from tonight that actually was a win. The 6 teams ahead of us only got 1 point each. They all drew. It was the best case scenario for us. As far as we lost tonight, everyone else gained 1 point on us. 1 point.
Well, best case scenario would have been that we won, and then that would have been the best case.
But best case scenario for what happened.
Following us losing the match.
Right.
The best case scenario was for everyone to draw, and everyone drew. So,
yeah.
And I kind of harping back to it. My panic meter is just 0. It's a non-starter for me.
The only issue now is we're in the preview episode. We're talking basically, if we win this game, we're looking at now not just the playing round. Now we're looking at, hey, we have a legit shot at actually making the whole thing just outright. And now I'm not sure if that's the case, but we'll see. Because I'm supposed to go up and down, right? That's my mo.
Yeah.
Right now I'm very low. I think that we need to sit down. We need to start talking to this guy Robert Taylor, and not just sit him down, but sell him. Calendar, I don't know. Maybe Des Santos. Maybe we play him now. I don't know. I'm starting to look
Leave
at him right now.
Calendar alone. Leave the man
I
alone.
can. The guy doesn't step up when
No.
we need it. I don't know what to tell you.
One of the best offensive
Jesus
teams in the league.
Christ.
Like I'm not concerned about. I'm not concerned. I don't know how else to put it, but I'm not concerned. We play Toronto, the worst team in the conference. You know who's not basement dwellers? Us. You know who are? They are. Okay?
Yep.
So the worst team in the league. It's a get right game before we head into Orlando for a huge matchup. Rivalry, in-state rivalry. They're top of the table or second top, and they're gonna look to destroy us. Bring it on.
Oh my god.
Bring it on. That's
I
going to
would
be
love
another
that
one of
game.
those LAFC super open. They're not going to fear us. They're going to come out and try to fight us. Great. Messi's going to play.
Fun. That's
going to
very
be
fun.
that's going to be bananas.
Messi and Alba are going to be there. They're not going to play any games that day. They're ready to go. I think Toronto, we'll get into obviously the next episode, the preview, but Toronto will be an easy match. I think they'll all be rested by the 60th minute, and they'll get some more rest onto Orlando.
That would be great. That'd be great. It's just annoying. You heard Tellerman at the end of the game. It's just funny how everybody's just waiting for us to lose, and they're like, "Oh, I can't. I gotta say everything I gotta say."
It's like so revisionist history. It's so like just on the fly. They're like, "Oh, this like Atlanta's plan all along." Like Atlanta went down 1-0. They had a goal that was probably not a goal, and then they had an own goal. Like, what plan are you talking about? We're not for two lucky bounces. And whatever you want to call them, they were lucky bounces to me. If it were not for those two, Atlanta's down 1-0 at halftime. What are you talking about, plan?
Yep.
I feel like whenever he gets the opportunity to get in shots at Miami, he takes them. Like, no pause. Full stop. Like, he just goes for it.
He's like one of those old head MLS fans that just likes the way things were and like we're complicating things, and now all of a sudden.
Although he was kind of asking the same question of why we don't have the goal line technology and offside.
Right,
lines.
we need this guy. Honestly, the Messi maybe he made a point today. Maybe he said, "Hey man, I'm not gonna play on this stupid turf." Did you see what happened to Brett Favre? I mean, no, not Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers. Did you see what happened to that guy? Yeah, whatever his name is, the other Jeff, the jet guy, the crappy jet guy. Yeah, yeah. I'm not doing that. Messi's not going to do that. And, I do respect that. Maybe he was saying up front, I'll play, but maybe it's because since we won against LAFC, he may be like, hey, maybe we don't need to play.
That's why I think it gave us it gave us the option of saying, this is the match where you guys are not going. We got those points that maybe we didn't expect, and if we get the 3 points, fantastic.
Yeah.
If we drop these, it sucks, but we got Toronto next, and Orlando's gonna be tough no matter what. And then we got the final, which is a huge priority. When I said, I think it was for the preview of the Leagues Cup, we had talked about how much Tata tinkers and how hard he goes. Oh, it was the semifinal match, actually. How much he goes for this cup. And Dave was saying, I don't know. I think he's going to really mix it up so that he can focus on the league play. No. You go for the cup that's in front of you.
You go for the treble.
And not just that. Like, still mathematically, we're on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
You have a cup, a chance to win a cup right now. So you go for it.
Just put the hardware in the trophy case.
The resources have to be towards that right now. And yes, we want to win the league's matches and make it to the MLS Cup playoffs, all that stuff. But the focus absolutely needs to be on the U.S. Open Cup final right now.
I think that's been the plan all along, honestly. I think that's really what they have their eye on the prize on that. And I think from the bottom up all the way to management, maybe even Beckham's probably telling them, hey, we need this cup. We need this extra hardware in there. This year, if we make the playoffs, it's fine. Next year, we're going to make the playoffs. This year, we have a cup right in front of us. Let's get the cup. Next year.
This season, no matter what, is a success.
Easy playoff next season.
It's a success no matter what. Farias was a hit. Gomez seems good. Avila seems good. Messi has revolutionized this club. Same for Alba Busquets. Like, this season's been a win. There's a trophy already in the cabinet. We play for another one in a week and a half. This season was a success even if we don't make the playoffs.
And not to continue to poo-poo on the Orlando faithful, but by the end of this year, we're gonna have more trophies than their organization has ever had. I believe, and this is me. Julio, go ahead and look it up. I'm pretty sure they only have two. Could be totally wrong. Pretty sure. And by the end of the year, we're gonna have three. Enjoy. And you know what? And I hope on the way to those three, I hope that we get to play Atlanta and they have to beat us 2 times. It ain't gonna happen with Messi.
I do hope that we play Atlanta again.
And I want to favorite, if we could favorite that tweet that they sent out at the end of the game. Did you see what they wrote?
I did.
It was distasteful, and I remember, and we'll remind them when we play them, and we bounce them in the playoffs.
For those listening, Jose, why don't you tell us what they said?
Bring on the spot. If I can remember what they said. Okay, they said something like, next time bring your whole squad. Am I mistaken? I think that's what they said. Next time bring your whole
the gist
squad.
of it. Yeah, that's the gist of it.
Yeah, and I think we responded to that. Well, remember the last time that we played? Remember the last time we brought the squad 4-0? You know? But yeah, very distasteful. Could have just been good sports. It's fine.
I did like the picture of the pizza with the L on it, which is part of our thumbnail for this video. So let's talk about the standings. Let's talk about the standings real quick. As I mentioned, the 6 teams ahead of us all drew, so all of them only gained a point ahead of us. We're currently behind DC United for the 9th play-in position. We're behind them by 7 points, right? We entered this match day trailing by 6. Montreal ahead of them by 8 points. So all still catchable. We still play quite a few of these teams in front of us. We play Charlotte twice. We played NYCFC. And then we play Orlando, obviously, who are way up the table. But we got to start moving now. 7 games left in the season. The points are going to start running out, the possible points, right? So we definitely need to start making our move now. This was kind of the game that we gave away, in a sense, and now we need to really get after it. Toronto is the first place we start with on Wednesday. We'll record the preview. I think tomorrow night is what we're deciding to do after the Dolphins game wraps, and then we'll have that out for Monday for everyone. But the games are going to come thick and fast again. It's going to be 4 games in the span of like 12 days or something crazy like that. So yeah, they're going to come thick and fast, and by the end of September, we'll have a really good idea of what the end of the season is going to look like, whether it's going to be a real playoff push with 2 trophies in our hardware in our trophy cabinet already, or if we're really going to have to just like win every single match and have things fall in our favor. We'll know pretty soon.
Shout out to Chris and his shirt. You want to model it one more time, Chris? There you go.
No, thank you. You guys can check out the Instagram. I modeled it on there.
and TikTok. I made sure to put some parts on there.
Yeah, just to get back on the standings real quick. Looking forward, like you said, the points have to come now. We probably have room for maybe one more loss, if that. So it's going to be close. All of the teams ahead of us, they're 3, 4, 5 points away. So it's very doable. We're really close. At least the teams outside of the playoffs were 3, 4 points away. DC is a little different, 35 points. So, yeah, I think we probably have enough room for one more loss, but we gotta pump all these points. And what better way to start off than the worst team in the MLS on Wednesday?
If you guys happen to be going to that match, Chris is going, so make sure you let us know in the comments that you guys are going, and we'll schedule a time for you guys to meet up. Chris will be happy to sign anything and everything, and I mean everything. So
I'll charge a small fee for the autograph, but it's okay.
In addition, if you guys have any comments, what's your guys' panic level? How are you guys feeling after the match? Just let us know in the comments. We love interacting with everyone, and everyone that already does. We really appreciate it. Helps keep the juices flowing, the creative juices. And the preview for the Toronto match again will be out in like 24 hours. So keep an eye out for that. And I think that's it for us, guys. Thanks so much for tuning into the Hair and Heads podcast, your first place for all things Inter Miami, and we'll catch you on the next one.
I can't do the Pia. We lost,
No, not allowed.